Hello and welcome back to the Astroflower. We're following that story, Life as a Healer, that we did last week and dowsing the energy lines around a church. This is connected to that because we're going to be investigating a portal or a spirit train station on the energy line that was produced inside a house which was causing problems for family, friends, even pets, and across the entire village. Now, we've been doing this over the last 18 months, so we've documented as much as we can, and we're going to start the journey right at the beginning. Are you ready? Are you subscribed? Then let's get on. I've got Tanya with me. Hello, Tanya.
Hi.
And the journey, this particular part of the journey, because it's part of a much bigger journey that we go into, which has to do with nights, Canterbury Cathedral,
and moving energies,
Glastonbury, lots of different places. So that's going to be on follow-up videos. But in the meantime, whilst doing all of that other stuff behind that to do with the nights and what have you, someone contacted you. So you had the first sort of contact.
Yeah, this was the first time I've been sort of involved in you being asked to remove spirits or entities. So a friend of mine, Lizzie, approached me asking if I knew anybody that would be able to deal with a series of difficult situations they were having in their house. She'd recently moved into the property with her partner, and activity amplified, and she was getting very disturbed by it. The children in the house were getting very disturbed by it.
So have you got a report in a way of what she sort of, can you read us that report?
How she approached me?
Yeah, sort of thing.
Yeah, well, she basically just said, I have an alternative query and wonder whether you could help me, please. Do you know who would be best to help move on an unwanted spirit or entity? The house that I'm in at the moment is haunted and is terrifying the children as well as creeping them out. Door handles, doors opening, cold, uneasy feelings which are coming and going, latches on the gate outside, and even the dogs have been let onto a busy road outside their property. So they were getting a bit disturbed, and even one of the children was seeing things within the house. So yes, so she approached me. Obviously, I knew straight. I have my go-to on these matters, and I approached you. But unfortunately, you'd literally just left the UK and were back in France. So it was really a question of, could you, as a matter of urgency, take a look, because they were having broken night's sleep about it. So I put them on to you, and you've had your first connection with them.
Yeah.
Maybe you can explain how what's the first thing you do when you're dealing with a property in a location that you're not in? What do you do?
Well, the first thing I do is go straight to Google Map and basically douse the whole surrounding area, usually going up to around about sort of anything from 15 to 20 clicks.
And when you say dowsing from a Google map, what does that actually mean for people that have not seen you do this?
You can douse anything from distance. The moment you're connected to any energy, you can be anywhere in the world. I can visit houses like on a virtual sort of sense, and I've done it many times when people talk to me about there's a problem in the house, and I start saying, just think about your house, and I connect to the house, and they know their house, so I'm basically connecting to their energy that they know. And from that point there, I can kind of go, okay, so we go upstairs, and then so I can.
So you straight away you went to the Google map and looked at their location.
Yeah.
And what did you sort of pick up straight away?
Well, first things first is that energy line that goes between one church and another. And there is, there's thousands and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands, millions of lines that go through across the world, that cross over a multitude of different places. And you have major crossing lines as much as smaller crossing, like veins and arteries and capillaries. There's lots of different sort of like streams and rivers and what have you. There's different sizes on everything. And so I discovered that, which you can see here on a map here, there's a line that goes between one church and another. Now that's my initial looking at what should naturally be going on. And once you start dowsing that line there, it's like looking when I'm doing in healing and dowsing someone, that's what I do. You know, I can see inside their body and kind of go, okay, let's go down that sort of nerve there. Oh yeah, there seems to be a kink in the nerve.
So straight away you'd notice that their property was sitting plumb on the line.
Yeah, that there was something going wrong with that line.
Right.
So basically, there's certain things that you can do at distance to sort out the essentials. You know, get the water sort of like, it's like just reconnecting electricity lines without having to fix the poles yet and everything like that. So
that was in the January. So you took a look at it remotely in
January 2024. Yeah, that was in January 2024. Looked at it remotely, and we're getting some really good results.
Yeah,
I think you've got another.
They reported back that things had calmed down considerably from that initial work, but not entirely resolved.
No.
And obviously that there's only so much that you can do remotely, and actually you needed to go on site to resolve
deal with
it.
Yeah. And what you'll see from the video later on about us going through the churches and so forth, there is a lot, there's a lot going on that's not just within the house, and it's
unraveling a puzzle in a way.
Yeah, exactly. It's like an onion. It's got layers.
Okay, so rolling on to when you were due back. So you came back into the UK in April 2024, and obviously they were very keen for you to come and take a closer look. So that's where
we pick up the interview.
We went to the property and talked to the residents that were having their problems.
Yeah. So this is the interview from 2024, and you'll just follow through the work that we're gradually doing on this energy line. We're here with Mick and Lizzie at the moment, and there have been some phenomenons in the house, which seems to be sort of spirit and energy sort of related, as it were. Maybe first of all, just give me an idea of the sort of things that have been occurring that you've noticed over the, when did it first start, for example?
We've been picking up more and more for the last year and a half. It seems to be getting a bit more stronger presence or whatever.
Okay.
It's not like a movie. It's just like lights being on in a room when you know for a fact the lights wasn't on. TV coming on in the middle of the night, full blast, when you know you didn't have it that loud when you went to bed and there was no reason for it to come on.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a dog jumping up on the sofa and turning the remote on. The dog's all in another part of the house.
Yeah.
Door,
back
that
door
door used to open. Letterbox used to go even on a still day.
Yeah. Right. So just a lot of things, and mainly sort of to do with electricity. Anything to do with water and stuff like that?
The shower used to
trickle out, didn't it?
just run, like not fully run, but bits would run and then it would stop for a bit.
Right. Okay. One of the noticeable things was sort of like it obviously affected the kids in a way. You know what I mean? That was the main sort of thing, because kids tend to be very sensitive to these sort of things.
More so our middle one, Karis.
Right.
Karis being about 8 now, just coming up for 9.
Right.
And, she notices a lot more.
Okay.
She handles it in quite a chilled out way. She just tells us a matter of fact what happened, and
excellent. It's probably the best way to deal with it.
We've had the other ones screaming a lot, and that's not.
Yeah, waking up in the middle of the night, wasn't she, screaming.
Do you hear any noises and stuff like that?
Footsteps. You can hear footsteps when
there's not. People wandering around.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
But that's the only noise I think I've heard.
Come on. Yeah. Oh, one more question. The house is burnt down opposite.
Yes.
When did that happen?
Is it about 2 years ago?
Yeah. I've got 26 months.
Yeah.
So roughly around about sort of February.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the sort of thing that people should really be attentive about, what's going on in the environment around us, because obviously what you've got is like an energy portal in your house, and it's very much like an underground station that's along a line of energy.
Yeah.
And it gets like a blister on it. That blister gets burst, and that can be created by outside as much as inside stuff.
Yeah.
but it's usually because there's a problem along the line itself. And that's the thing. You can fix your house as much as possible, as we've seen, because I did some stuff on remote stuff,
Yeah.
which was
made a big difference.
Huge difference.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we did that about sort of 3 months ago, 4 months ago, something like that. And so yeah, so we, you know, you can do a certain degree of, you know, on the actual place, but you've got to do. This is why it's important for people to look after their villages, look after their heritage. You know, our elders or our past selves. You know, put in a lot of churches and in particular ways. You know, not because of one thing or another, but more sort of respect of the place that they lived in. And this is where, you know, I think people can help by, you know, looking after their environment, as it were. You know. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to be doing that as well. So we're going to be going through clearing out the rest of the house and stuff like that. Hey, we're going to close down the underground station. That's what we're going to do today.
Reroute that.
Excellent. Okay. Well, we'll see.
Okay, so that was the interview that we did in the first thing. And they were explaining about sort of a lot of things that were happening in the house and stuff like that. But after I did the initial work, there was a lot of stuff going on outside the house rather than inside the house.
Yes,
so automatically at that distance work, we managed to sort of protect the house more than anything else. I hadn't arranged everything else, we'd protected the house.
So yes, reports were coming back of between the front door and a certain part of the garden.
Yeah, which you can see images here.
So
now.
it was definitely something going on, and outside the gate, which was letting the dogs out, they were moving frequently, and dogs did get out. So it was more outside than inside, but the inside had calmed down considerably.
Yeah.
So that was the next thing to do was to go and have a look outside.
Yeah, and you know, and looking outside, this is when you get the feel of the flows of energy that is feeding that portal problem within the house. So you can, you know, first things first, you can identify what needs to be sorted out first of all. So you have to do it in a logical sort of.
So you needed to dowse to find the line precisely at that point.
So you're going to join us here. We're going to be in the garden dowsing the energy lines.
Let's just see what's going on with the line.
So straight away, the minute you're out there, the dogs have found you.
Yeah.
So they do have a number of dogs, but instantly they were gravitated towards you, and you had them for the rest of your tour of the garden.
You've got the solar plexus, but there's something going on down there. I think that's the church. We've got to go and look at that church there. There's something that's too Aryan. It's finding it difficult to anchor itself, as it were. You can feel the solar plexus, but there's a lot of crown that's going on there. Very headache sort of thing, you know. It makes mentally a little bit tough, sort of thinking about things, you know. Okay, so what happens is the line is just coming through here. It's coming through here, and it's going through the house, which is just around here. Excuse me, my friend. So it goes to coming through there, and so that's where the problem's being created. So there's something going on down there at the church down there, and there's something going on at a church down the other side. So let's go to the front of the house.
And what was really interesting at that point was what you were actually pointing at was the house that had burnt down that was mentioned in the interview. Yeah. So at that point we realised it was directly on the line.
Yeah, because I did say it was between the two churches. And as time goes on, you'd start learning, obviously, about what's going on. So this reiterates the whole idea, which I go into on other videos, is do not be afraid of getting it wrong, because as long as you investigate, you will find the answers. And you may not find it straight away, but you will find the answers eventually. And we did with that burnt out house opposite, which is going to feature in tomorrow's video, probably a little bit more. But in the meantime, should we just go to the front of the house?
There you go. That's really pulling the energy. As the lines that go through there, it's almost like there's a feedback loop that's coming into the house just here. And that's what's creating like the blister on the line, which once it pops, spirits can use it to come and go, like a train station. So let's go and have a look at what's going on with the blister.
So now we're going from the garden into the house. Now, I should explain a little bit about what actually happens here. Once you get a energy line that has been infected, you get this loop of energy that doesn't really recharge itself in the earth and just keeps going round and round between one point and the other. And it becomes a little bit dirty, if you like, and then eventually it ends up creating like a blister, as it were, on that energy line. And once that blister bursts, it creates like a hole in the energy, a leak of energy, as it were. And that leak of energy then can be used by spirits to infect a property or a village and everything. And there's other things that we're going to be going into in other videos about how a business in a particular town is using this portal as an advertising thing for their business. It's absolutely amazing. So yes, as we go into this property here, this is what's happening, or this is what had happened to that energy line that we needed to get sorted. So then Mother Earth can be a lot better within herself. We're doing skincare for Mother Earth. That's what we're doing. So I describe it like a train station for spirits. That's how I explain it. Now, Tanya, you were receiving messages according to, or you spoke to them according to what the kids, the children were experiencing. Can you give them their sort of experience?
So the three children, two of them were just very, very distraught and got woken up in the night, were very frightened. The middle child seemed to be very naturally attuned and could actually see things. So there was one particular room in the house that she just wouldn't go in. She wouldn't sleep in there. She was very, very scared of being in that room. And she did actually see a figure with a cardigan on in another room.
Now that was quite important, that person with the cardigan, because I was explaining about that when I was there. Prior to that, when I was doing things at distance, I said there seems to be some sort of connection to Africa with this, and it seems like there's this African woman by the portal, and this is just so you would understand what we're doing when we go and see the portal in the house, as it were. And that African person was connected to this gentleman in the cardigan. Now, who was that?
I think it was just the father-in-law.
The father-in-law
of the person who'd bought the property.
Right. Okay. So, and the way I described him was exactly. The funny thing is, I didn't have a chance to sit down and talk to the kids, did I?
No, not the one that had seen.
Not the ones
she was
at
she was at a party, unfortunately.
That's right. She was at a party, but and I didn't know this. She described the person exactly the same as what I was describing them, and that's where we came to the conclusion that it must be the father-in-law of of one of the occupants of the property, who apparently had some sort of connection to Africa or an African woman. Sorry. But that was that. There was a connection between this gentleman in the cardigan, or the grey cardigan, and this African person as well, that was connected to this bowl.
Where did you see the bowl? Was it? I think it was out in the hallway outside that room, wasn't it? It was almost like just right outside the room.
As I walked into the room, I think it was on the right hand side when I immediately walked into the room. But it was like, it was you, because this is how spirits work. They use things that you have a vague attachment to in order to make the connections. And that builds their energy up. Then therefore, once they can build their energy up, then they can start playing a little bit with the physical world. They can't do a lot of stuff with the physical world because they don't have a physical body. And that's how it works. You should never be scared of spirits at all, because you have a physical body. You have total control over this reality, and they don't. And that's where, that whole magic thing of dark magic and stuff like that falls flat on its backside, simply because they don't have a control over the physical. And nor do we, but we have a much greater connection to it because we're in the physical being more than anything else. So,
let's go on and see what was happening in that portal in one of the rooms in the house. Okay, so now we're just connecting to the energy. Now I can start feeling that like orb or that sort of sphere. I've already got someone there. Okay. Okay, so that's that. Excuse me a second. Okay, this is one of the bowls that came from Africa, and we were talking about that there was something about this African connection and how I'll tell you about that in a second. Just need to, there you go, come on then. And take it with you. Good. Excellent. No, I ain't no one's judge. I believe her. Well, I know you're good. You're good to go. Excellent. Okay. If you could, that would be very nice. They're just offering to close it off on the other side. So there's two doors, as it were, one from our side of the whole sort of thing. It's a little bit like, what's that program on Netflix? Stranger Things. It's like you get one door on one side, one door on the other, and they're helping out to sort of close the door on the other side. We just need to neutralize this bowl because it was used as a fixing point to open the blister. And I'll explain to you a little bit about that later on. Okay, excellent. Continue. Okay, so we just need to now fully close it off. Yeah. They're actually asking me, am I going to be doing the rest of the line? So we are going to be doing the rest of the line. Just need to close that off. Thank you very much. Okay. So that should be closed off now. The thing is obviously there's that blister that we were talking about that's on the line outside. Now that needs to be dealt with. And where we were outside, just opposite, is where that house got burnt out 2 years ago. So obviously this is a recurring thing on that line. As I was saying, when we were out on the line out in the garden, it seems to be something that's very much more sort of Aryan. And that's what you get when you get fire. There's a lot of air and a lot of fire. Everything's on its movement upwards, as it were. And that creates a little bit of instability, difficult to sort of ground ourselves and everything like that. Okay, so it's just sort of like, yeah, that's a lot cooler now. Excellent. Okay, so now we're going to go, what we're going to do now, we're going to go and douse a few churches. And this is why we do a lot of the stuff in our videos about dowsing churches, because this is understanding the local energies and what's going on in the local energy. If you realize that there's a lot of water, obviously, you've got to be conscious when you build houses, when you do anything in life, that there's going to be a lot of water about. So, when you get conscious about the energy of your local environment, then therefore you know what you can do, what is much easier to do because the forces are going with you. Okay, so let's just go on to those churches. So in part 2, we're going to be going in and seeing the churches. You might have seen a glimpse of what we're going to be looking at in the energy video that we did last week. Now this goes into the much greater field. So you're actually sorting out the energetic environment around that portal so that blister can no longer exist. So we've obviously got to go and look at where the 2 points are and arrange those 2 points so it can no longer have that internal loop, as it were, going on. So we're going to be doing that in the video tomorrow. But there is so much more connected to this. And we're going to be going, and this is connected to the Black Knight, which we have done an extensive research upon. And that connects Canterbury Cathedral with Glastonbury, but also right down into Wales. It goes right across the south of the UK. And an amazing connection which will be coming up in future videos. So stay with us for tomorrow for part 2. We will be talking about this on the live on Sunday at 2100 hours UK time. If you've got questions, or you may even have answers to questions, just join us. It's a free-for-all. We all love exploring the ideas of energies. That's on Sunday night, 2100 hours UK time. You have to be subscribed in order to ask a question. So make sure you are subscribed. I will see you soon. Tanya will also see you soon. In the meantime, don't forget, life should be fun, so please do